Oftentimes, a lot of the people that serve in this role have actually had real life experience with public.
Shocker!
I know, right? Shocking to
Who
think.
could imagine?
That's actually a good thing for qualifications.
Hello, everyone. You had many questions about the Department of Education and what's going on with education funding in the bill and also the Supreme Court ruling recently. So we're going to talk about it. I have come to Congress. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be with you, Amanda. I'm Congresswoman Nikki Budzinski. I represent the 13th District in Illinois, which is central and southern Illinois.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we're just going to jump into it. Republicans have been given the green light to fire like 1,400 people at the Department of Education by the Supreme Court. So what happens next? Like, what is going to happen to the department's functions with so few staff left?
Well, many concerns. So first of all, what the Supreme Court green-lighted was basically half of the Department of Education's workforce being cut by the Trump administration. So when you're talking about things like Title I grants or Title II grant programs, these are the federal funding dollars that move to our states, who actually then work with our school districts to move the money into the classroom. So who is going to move that money out of the federal government if there's actually no one physically there to do it? You need a strong workforce in order to do that, to move that kind of money into our states. So one, just the efficiency with which we'll be able to, and the nimbleness of what we'll be able to do to move federal dollars to states all across this country. I would also say I can't miss an opportunity as well. This Secretary Linda McMahon, I think, does not have anywhere near the skill set or experience to be dealing with what these cuts to the workforce, what that's going to mean to her executing on the missions of the Department of Education. She has no background in public education. She's never been a teacher. Oftentimes, a lot of the people that serve in this role have actually had real life experience with public.
Shocker!
I know, right? Shocking to think.
Who could imagine?
That's actually a good thing for qualifications. So I am concerned about the workforce, what eroding and really, again, cutting about half of it is going to mean to moving dollars out into the states, executing on critical programs for our kids in the classroom, but also the leader at the helm of this department is really important. And her fundamental lack of knowledge and experience, I think, is also equally very troubling.
Yeah, same. Yeah. So this was of like particular concern to my audience. What can families expect when it comes to IDEA funding and students with disabilities who are supported by that federal funding and that oversight? What can they expect?
It's such an important question, and it's a question that's really personal to me. I have a 15-year-old nephew, Noah, with Down syndrome, who relies on IDEA funding as he goes to a public school in Northern Illinois and gets to he's fully integrated into his public school system, but that's only because of IDEA funding. The biggest concern with IDEA funding is the staff cuts that have happened within the Department of Education. If there aren't the staff there to actually execute and move out the door the IDEA funding, those school districts might not get to receive them, or maybe they don't get to receive them on a timely basis. So we just need to be very vigilant that those types of funds are actually moving out the door, reaching the school districts that need them. It's critically important for our special needs kids.
What about student loans? Along with the cuts to staffing, student loans were changed in the budget bill. So what changes can parents who are about to send their kids to college expect? And what about borrowers who are trying to pay them back now?
Yeah, this is not good. This is not good. I'm stating something you already know, but to just say for those that have student loan debt, what's going to happen is they have basically until July of 2028. What it means is this administration has decided through this bill to pare down the options for students. They will only have two different loan programs to select from when it comes to student loans. No matter what kind of loan you have right now, you're going to have to renegotiate that into one of these two loan programs. Why this isn't good is we need more options for students. When we're talking about college affordability, we want maximum flexibility for students. If they're trying to renegotiate a loan, if they're paying down a loan, what are those interest rates? We want competitive loan programs, not fewer loan programs for them to choose from. And so that is something that is really very deeply concerning.
So the bill also had some changes to school vouchers and how they're handled in the states. I have no experience with this or background, so it was very confusing to read. Can you walk us through what
Yeah.
those mean?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I can. My big concern about vouchers is when we give money for vouchers, it's actually helping to incentivize kids to move away from public schools and into a private school setting.
Okay.
So vouchers are used to help pay for that. What this program would basically do would be allow for a one-to-one match for people that want to send their kids. They can do a tax deduction, get a tax credit basically. If they utilize vouchers to send their kids to a private school, they can write those dollars off on their taxes. So if you're writing off tax dollars in your tax return, or when you get your tax return, that just means that fewer dollars that are going to go to public schools.
Right.
Because ultimately, what you're doing through the voucher program, utilizing the tax system, is you're helping to incentivize parents that might want to send their kids to private schools. We want to make sure that our public school system is as strong as it can be. I think defunding the public school system is not going to help with outcomes. We know we have work to do within the public school system, but by doing that, we need more funding, not less funding. We need to look at all of these issues very critically, but moving toward a more voucher, a private sector system, is going to just continue to erode the foundations of our public school system in this country, and why I'm very concerned about it.
Yeah. Okay, so we just talked about a lot of concerning things, but can we reverse any of these changes if we take back the House in midterms or the White House in 28? Like, what can we be thinking about as we move forward?
Yeah. First, I would say I think there's damage that's going to be done
Yeah.
here. So I think we need to be realistic about continuing to fight until we get to this next election, where we will hopefully, at the very least, take back the House of Representatives and put that into Democratic control. I think when that does happen, as Democrats, we need a vision to support our public school system and to help them rebuild. And so I think that's making sure that any lapses in IDEA funding, that we're fully supporting Title I programming for our most vulnerable school districts. You saw that during the big bad bill negotiations, the Trump administration also did significant, almost a $6 billion cut to Title II. What Title II is funding for teacher training, for adult learning and adult education, for English as a second language program for students that are learning English. They cut that by about $6 billion. So that was happening while all of this other stuff was happening in the bill. I only really want to point all of that out to say we've got our work cut out for us. We can't give up this fight now. We have to continue to fight, but we also need to make sure we're holding elected officials accountable to what they're doing to our public education system on election day in November of 2026, so we can start to rebuild that foundation.
It doesn't make any sense to me that they would cut adult education funding and also student loan programs. Like, they don't want you to go to college. They also don't want you to get secondary education of any kind, job training. So, like, what do they want people to do? It just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. I had to rant about that for a second.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the issue is for a lot of young people and adults that are maybe working a job, these things feel out of reach if you can't afford them.
Yeah.
And what we don't want is educational opportunities in this country to only be afforded to kids with wealthy means. We want everybody. That's what public education is really all about. It's a great equalizer in our country, which no matter where you grew up, no matter what zip code you're from, you get access to a good teacher, a good public education. And that is something that is unique in the United States. And we need to continue to fight to make sure we protect that.
Hard agree. Anything else you want to add or action steps you recommend that people take between now and the midterms?
Yeah, I think, again, I said fighting back, speaking out. We just had actually a success story that I can share and maybe leave you
Yes,
on a
please.
hopeful note. Yeah, so we were really excited. We had an education town hall in East St. Louis. One of the issues, not just to talk about all these issues that we talked about, what's happening in our public education system, but the Trump administration initially froze, like they're doing in a lot of other areas, a $19 million grant that East St. Louis public schools were relying on for an HVAC system. That just ensures the kids are breathing healthy, clean air, right? And they rescinded that. So we really highlighted that in our town hall, making the case as to what this will mean financially for the school district, a school district that is a Title I school district that has a lot of needs. We ended up finding out about 2 weeks ago, they ended up restating the 19 million. So the school district is getting it. So we will take our wins where we can get them. But I do think it just really underscores the importance of speaking out, telling our stories about why public education is so important and how it impacts our kids and our communities, and just don't give up.
Yeah.
We didn't give up on East St. Louis, and East St. Louis ended up getting the grant that they had frozen unfrozen. And so we need more of those stories.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time.